Hello. So, I'm going to be doing more videos on the world system. So, here we go. So, focusing on making, let's say, our governments, our systems, our economy, changing it so that people have access to food, to homes, to security. Because right now, the level of support is limited. And it's a system that is based on you needing to work to live, and you being afraid of losing your job, and you being afraid of losing your job because you're afraid of not having enough money to eat, to pay for your things. It's a system that makes that normal, and it's a system where you cannot easily find a job that doesn't require you to work a lot and doesn't require you to the reason why to make that amount of money to live. This system is one where you're making money at the very least to live well, you could say security, survival. And it's a system where if you have a family, then that's your primary point you rely on, is your family. But not everyone has a family, and not everyone's family has the same amount of money to support. There are families that are barely surviving, and there are people who don't even have a family to rely on. The system we have now is based on survival, where if you are alone in this world, and if you have an accident, something unfortunate happening to you, it could be a disease, a physical disease that that came out of the blue, whether it's cancer or another kind of disease. It can be simply living in a point of poverty for so long, and that has a deteriorating effect on you mentally, physically. Because if you're working all the time and you don't have any vacation days, you don't have any benefits, and you don't see a way out, you don't have the time to plan out another way, what can you do? It's a system where you do have to take risks sometimes, and you do pay the consequences of those risks. But there's not even that basic support of in case things really go bad or wrong. It's a system that is based on the fear of not having a job, of not having that money to pay for your food, your home. It's a system that's based on that as the fundamental premise for the majority of people. If you take the population of the countries of wherever you are, and you slice it into the proportions of the people of the various wealth, you will find that there are more people who are in the bottom part of this pyramid structure. You have the ones who are on top, and you have the ones who are at the bottom, the base. And not only that, because this fundamental point of survival is the base of it, people aren't empowered to question the system, to have another choice, to be able to work somewhere else that's not in that system, to be part of a new system, a system where they are secure, where they can care about things like how does this job relate to what's good for the economy, for the business, for the world. Because I guarantee you, there are people that are working jobs right now that see that it's not a good job, that even sees that it can be improved and even be removed, that can see that there is a better way and a better system. But if they were to suggest that better system and a better way, they would lose their job. I guarantee you that there are people who are in that position, but they don't want to lose their own job, so they won't even suggest such improvements. Because the system is one that's based on fear. On, if I don't have my job, what am I going to do to eat, to live? So we don't feel empowered to bring other solutions, to make things actually just efficiently better for everyone, for the economy, for what's really just common sense. And that includes things like pollution. That includes things like buying products for your business that are throwaway. I guarantee you there are people, employees, who are doing their job, who are either buying things for the business or working with things for the business where you're constantly throwing things away. It can be gloves inside hospitals. It can be all these little products, these little things that are cheap that the business buys, but you're not going to question it because it's not your business. Right? In that phrase, like your business. Oh, it's not my business. It's very interesting, that word and that phrasing. But it is our business. But we're afraid of losing our jobs. But if we actually change these kinds of points, like buying things that are so disposable when we could buy something that isn't disposable, we could buy something that will last, or we buy something that is biodegradable, or we buy something that makes more sense to get. There's so much that's done within business because it's what's quick and it's what's fast and it's what's going to make money and get the job done cheaply. And we don't question that point because that's point of survival. Or even the business owners themselves, they are also themselves knowing that if they were to make a huge mistake and somehow ruin their own business, they don't have anything to rely on either. They have that fear as well, even. And so we're all in this point in some way or another. And it's sickening for people who are making a lot of money, who are, let's say, riding the wave of the economy, living the good life, and don't want to rock the boat, don't want to change things, even though it would be what's best for all. So this is where we are at as humanity, everywhere. You find this everywhere. Whether it's a very, let's say, poor place or much more wealthier place, this still exists. Because even the economy as a whole, the world, is interconnected. If we buy something that's cheaply made from other countries, we're also giving permission for that, because we're not demanding for something better. We're looking for what's cheap. We're looking for what's easy. But all those costs, environmental costs, the cost of human abuse, because maybe in your country there are living standards or work standards But in others, not so much, especially when you're buying something that's super cheap. How do you think it's cheap in the first place? Because they don't have any standards or protections. There's a reason why it's cheap. So you look at that point as well, because to even ship something from so far away, it's already an extra expense, unneeded. So we all have blood in our hands. If you're not aware of what it's like living in poverty in, let's say, these other countries, then take a look. It's not that hard to find it. It's not that hard to see what it's like living in those conditions. Being born into poverty, essentially, having to work in these jobs because it's a little bit better than poverty, but you're still in real poverty. How do you think things are made so cheaply? It means common sense. Our entire system is fundamentally flawed. And it definitely has to change. There are many ways it could change. It can be within the system, through politics, to change the regulations. It could be trying to give an alternative, trying to show another way, another choice, wherever it may be in the world. Maybe one country shows a different model that works. But it definitely starts with whoever understands this point and takes responsibility for this point and speaks on this point, that they continue to do so, to share the common sense. Right now, our system is based on the freedom to abuse, the freedom to buy cheap, the freedom to buy abusive products, the freedom to abuse, the freedom to abuse others because you know that they need money to survive, and so you abuse them. You abuse that fact. It's also based on letting ourselves continue to be living this way. And when you actually do give yourself a secure income, a stable future, that you use that resource of money to actually spend it in changing the system. I mean, there's different ways that can happen. It could be through taxes, or it could actually be creating a whole new system. Maybe you create another kind of currency, a currency that's used among people that agree that we need to change how things work. Creating like a living income, for example. And the only way that could work is if businesses come together to agree to use that currency. That people agree to receive that currency and spend it. Okay, thank you very much.